I'm the IT director at BombBomb. That means my team and I, we develop the security platform and the corporate infrastructure for all of BombBomb. Just BombBomb or all of them?
How many unread do you
have? Oh my God. Dude, I don't know if I want to say. All right.
I'll give you mine. That'll make you not feel so bad. So my unread is 18,743.
I got you beat by a lot of it. All right, my unread emails, I apologize, are 31,923. In this digital platform that we created, everybody's reachable. There's something called the death of distance. So the distance between myself and someone in Nigeria or someone in Africa has shrunk because you're reachable within a second by email, just by sending first name dot last name or first name at whatever. You can reach someone immediately. So if anyone has anything they would like to tell to anybody, there is no distance. There's the death of distance. And so you can reach someone instantaneously and as many times as you would like. As many times as you would like, rather than physically, I can just tap you on the shoulder over and over and over again until there's a harassment charge or something physical happens, like there's a physical retaliation happens. That is not the case on this digital platform because you can just reach anyone at any moment in time as much as you would like with no ramifications, because just like me with my almost 32,000 emails, you can just ignore it. We ignore these messages because it's noise. There's a lot of noise throughout the day. And so with this noise, you can see all the messages that you get, and you wanna look at the ones that help you, that make you feel something, or that you have a connection with. So all the other ones, you just simply don't open. And when you don't open, you just ignore it like it didn't happen until someone asks you, hey, how many unread messages do you have? Then the reality hits, it's like, oh my gosh, maybe I missed a lot of good ones. Maybe I should just mark them all as read, but I'm just choosing to ignore them at this moment. The amount of noise, it helps the bad guys. So online or in email, email is the #1 attack vector, period, by the way. 95 to 97% of all malware is sent through email. And that has not changed for the past 20 to 25 years. It's always been the #1 attack vector, and it's not slowing down. I think it will always be the #1 attack vector because this noise, the amount of noise going on, it's easy to slip a message with some malware in because we've become comfortable in email. Back when the internet first started, email was a very formal setting. It was always Mr. So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so, comma, and then a very well-written email. In schools, they even used to teach how to write very professional emails. Now, memes, GIFs, everything under the sun is just sent in email, and it's now become a comfortable setting. And the more comfortable you are, the more relaxed you become. The more relaxed you are, the less your defenses are up. And those defenses, I mean your biological defenses. So if someone ran into this room right now during this docuseries, my mind will immediately go to fight or flight. So I'm either gonna run faster than I ever thought I was, or I am going to be tougher than I ever thought I was. And that's not a decision, that is actually a biological function. However, in email, and with this very comfortable setting, you're not looking at spam messages with that same vein. You're not looking at it with that same rigor. So names that you've never seen before don't scare you. But that's a completely different person. That's a complete stranger to you. But the name doesn't scare you at all. A company that you typically do business with, like Amazon or Google or Best Buy or an organization like that you typically do business with, the name doesn't scare you. So if I am a criminal, I can impose myself, I can be an imposter of one of those organizations and send a message as one of the organizations you typically do business with, or people typically do business with. And then I'm not posing any immediate threat to you. So you read the name, you read Amazon, you feel, hey, I always do business with Amazon, especially in 2020 or 2021, mid-pandemic, hopefully towards the end of the pandemic, we're all ordering things from Amazon. However, this is not from Amazon. This is from an attacker. And that attacker is putting a link in to inject some malware within your computer. And people just have no clue. And that amount of noise that we have going on does nothing but mask that type of behavior. The amount of noise going on makes it extremely difficult to get a genuine message through to someone, because so much noise is out there. So much information is coming within your inbox at any moment in time that it becomes very difficult to figure out what is real, what is fake, what is just spam, what is not spam. And so people genuinely, it's hard to know who to trust, what to trust, because we have basic cyber practices that we teach every day. Every organization is going through these cyber practices to practice good cyber hygiene, but it's hard for the everyday user to execute that every single time. Like, hey, let me check the header of this email. Let me check this. Let me do this. To do that every single time to bat 1,000 is extremely difficult. As a sports fan, here's an analogy that it's like a game of football, but the offense, which is the attackers, has unlimited downs. They just need you to make one mistake, and that one mistake can be data breach, and data breach can be catastrophic. So you're constantly on the defensive side, but the offense doesn't stop. There is no halftime. There is no timeouts. It's just every day, every time you have to practice these basic cyber hygiene. But to say everybody needs to do that is extremely difficult and is a very difficult thing to ask. Everybody is at risk of being a victim because we're all human. And I'm fortunate through my studies, we've reached over 20,000 participants. And in the studies, we take age, race, gender, ethnicity, all that stuff. When you take all of that out of it, 29% of people not only click emails, they send PII through these emails. And everybody's at risk. It doesn't matter if you're a cybersecurity professional. It doesn't matter if you're in sales. Everybody's at risk of these attacks because we all deductively go through the same things. So when you see an email, you read the name. Naturally, that's what everyone does. You read the name, and then you start reading the message. When you read the message, you start reading that message in your own voice. That's just the basic. That's just the default. And as you're reading in your own voice, that gives the attacker a +1 because you're not reading in their voice. You're not reading in some creepy guy's voice at all. You're reading in your own voice. And we all like ourselves to a degree. We all like ourselves. We all trust ourselves. And so you're reading in a trusted and a verified voice. And after that, you have to deductively reason and say, hey, am I going to click this link or not? Am I going to send this information or not? Which is totally different. Because if you walk to anyone on the street and you tap them on the shoulder and you ask them for their bank account information, their social security number, and just go ahead and throw in that routing number just because you need that, everyone will say no. First of all, they have a visual of the person in front of them, and that person is unfamiliar. They have the voice as well. That voice is unfamiliar. Definite no. Not doing it. Definite no. However, when you're reading and they're masked as another organization, masked as your bank, you have to deductively reason, do I need to send this information? And you are not given enough information to make the right decision. You are just given enough information to make the wrong decision. And when you're wrong, they got you. And the only time you don't read in your own voice is when you see a name of a loved one. You see your husband's name, your wife's name, your kid's name, something along the lines of that, your best friend's name. Then you begin to read in their voice. And when you do that, that is catastrophic because you've authenticated the messenger before you authenticated the message. And so I'm more prone to believe the things my best friends tell me because I trust them than I am someone down the street, because I may be a skeptic and say, hey, I don't believe that at all. However, if one of my best friends tell it to me, I'm more likely to believe that. And this is the situation that we are all in. Everybody's in this situation right now. And so everybody, regardless of age, race, gender, we all go through those same steps to verify, is this a trusted email or not? From the human side. It's human authentication. It is not digital authentication. Human authentication is a very real thing, and it's something that we just need to get better at. When you're reading a message, it's all depending on your emotional state, on how you're going to react with that message. So if you're in a horrible mood, you're going to read that message in a horrible mood, and you're going to read it in a tone that might be a little bit more angry. Just think about it. Have you ever read a text message out of context from like a friend? And that friend just like, hey, do you want to do this? Yes or no? And immediately you see the name, you're irritated, you read the message, you're even more irritated by the message, regardless of what it said. The same thing happens in email. So as you're reading the message, it's all depending on your emotional state. We conduct phishing campaigns through my study. And I will never forget one of the results from the phishing campaign, because we conduct the campaign, we send the emails out. I send some really good ones that I think are cheating. Then I send some really bad ones that I think that nobody's gonna click it. Like, we should get 0% at this. However, one of the ones that I sent out that I thought nobody was going to click it within an organization, it was something very basic. It was, hey, we hacked your camera, and we saw that you were looking at adult websites. If you send us 3 Bitcoin, which is like $11 billion right now, if you send us 3 Bitcoin, we will make it all go away. So we had an individual that clicked that message and then replied to the message. And so during phishing campaign mode, I'm acting as the attacker, and so I reply back. Then they reply again, and then they begin to send PII to me. And at that point in time, it's like, stop, pause, hold up, time out. We need to bring this person in. So I brought him in, and I asked him what was going on, and in tears, he told me that he and his wife were going through some marital problems, and it's because she viewed watching adult videos as a form of cheating, and she was getting ready to file for divorce if that type of behavior continued. And he just broke down. He was ready to send whatever he needed to send to make that go away, because his emotional state, when he read that message, hit different than if I would have read that message, or if someone else would have read that message. And at that moment in time, it was bigger than an email. It hit this emotional state, which causes what's called amygdala hijacking, where you stop thinking, you start acting. And it's not like a decision that you need to make. It's just that, hey, I need to make this go away. To put this in elementary terms, in elementary school, actually, and in high school, I was not the best student. And so there's times when my report card would come in and mom would say something like, wait until I show your dad this. Then I'm like, oh my God. I start panicking, I start cleaning, I start picking up things just because I need to make this go away. It doesn't make sense. Does cleaning my room help my report card? No, but I'm hoping it helps the situation, because I'm not thinking, I'm just acting. It is way easier to go after the person than the technology. When I polled a group of hackers, it was 263 hackers, and they self-identified. They're either white hat, black hat, gray hat. I did not tell them to tell me if they're doing anything illegal or not. They would have probably just lied to me anyway. But I asked them, do you start with people or technology? That exact question. And 92% of them said they start with people instead of technology. And it makes sense, because people fall for propaganda. People fall for marketing all the time. Technology doesn't. Your technology is not going to ask you to buy a hamburger. However, when you walk by Burger King and you smell that flame boiled Whopper, you're gonna want that. It's not going to tell you that you wanna eat cheesecake. However, you see the advertisement, you begin to crave cheesecake. People fall for propaganda. Technology doesn't. We all know somebody somewhere that technology works perfectly fine until they touch it. And that fault that that person may have, or that fault with technology that may be existing in that interaction, that causes hackers or attackers to think, if I start with a person, it's the easiest way in. Because you can set up the greatest security fortress ever, but if you unlock the door, if someone unlocks the door and opens it and lets that person in, it doesn't matter what security platforms currently exist within that environment or within that organization, because we are participating in our own attacks. And once we're participants, it doesn't matter what you have set up. Within the human behavior, there's a bunch of attack vectors. One of those attack vectors is reciprocity, that if I do something for you, you're going to do something for me, or you feel like you need to reciprocate that behavior back. Similar to if you take a friend out for lunch. If you take a friend out for lunch once and you pay, take them out again and pay again. Then take that person out again and pay again. And sooner or later, it's going to be irritating because they're going to feel like, hey, let me pay for this one because I owe you. That's what people typically feel. And years ago, there was a professor from BYU. He sent out 500 Christmas cards to random people, just people he did not know or had no associations with at all. And for 5 years straight, he received Christmas cards back from people he did not know or did not associate with at all. It's because that feeling of reciprocity is just existing in the human behavior, and they just feel like, hey, this person gave me a Christmas card, I need to get that person a Christmas card back. The same behavior is demonstrated today in everyday interactions. If you go to a car dealership, I guarantee you they will offer you water, or they may offer you popcorn, because that's how deep it goes. If I give you a free bottle of water, you're going to buy a car. And even when you go out to eat to a restaurant, they may leave a mint on the ticket or the mint on your tab, because if you leave a mint, it is found that people tip 20% higher, not just because of the mint, but the only thing that's different is that, hey, here's this free mint. And they'll typically tip 20% more just by that behavior alone. What a salesperson could do to reach someone through all this digital pollution and digital noise that exists out there is attempt to create something that is genuine. Do something that is more genuine than your everyday email. And in that platform, it can be something as your first name or a nickname that someone's called, or create some sort of social validation that you are actually a person and that you are actually sending this message to them. On LinkedIn, my first name is Dr. Erik J. And so there's so many times I get an email or I get a message and it says, hey, Dr. Erik J. No one says Dr. Erik J. My name's just Erik. You can say doctor, but my name is just Erik. And in that, I just immediately know that it's either a bot or it's someone that didn't even take the time out to clean up my name before they sent the message. Psychologically, people want to feel either in control or they want to feel that someone's genuinely connecting to them. So a heartfelt message, something that is more than a sell, something that is just, hey, how are you doing? And I'm listening. Not just, hey, how are you doing, as someone's walking down the street and they say, I'm doing well, how are you? And that person continues to walk. Show that you're actually genuinely listening and that you're genuinely a person, because that digital noise, there's so many bots out there, there's so much automation that's out there that what's real gets construed with what's fake. And when you slow down and you think that, hey, this is actually a person that is talking to me, this is actually a person that is genuinely trying to connect with me, that's different. And that hits someone's psychological barriers differently than just this digital noise. Because there's so, as much as an attacker can tap you on the shoulder and ask for your social security number time and time again, or ask you for your bank account or your credit card number time and time again, it's significantly easier to say no too. For me to walk up to a salesperson face to face, or a salesperson walk up to me face to face and ask me a question, and for me to say no and walk away is a little bit difficult, because I try to be a kind-hearted, genuine person at all times. However, when I can just ignore or click delete, it's very easy to say no. You wanna create that genuine connection that raises those psychological barriers to where they're connected with you, and it's a little bit harder to say no because they know you actually care for them. My mom, she's very extrovert. She loves people. She loves talking to people. She's from the South, so she is that stereotypical mom that's going to cook for everybody and you ain't gonna leave until you eat. That's her. I remember we're at Kohl's and we're just doing some shopping, and she was so proud, and I love her to death. I'm a mama's boy. I love her to death. She was so proud that after I got my doctorate, she was just talking to random people. She's like, hey, how you doing? I like your shoes. You know, my baby just got his doctorate, and she's just talking to everybody. And so that same personality trait transfers over into her inbox, where she's reading everything, and she's reading it with great intentions. She's reading it to potentially reply to that person because John Smith or Jane Doe or John Doe sent a message and they're looking for a reply. And so she's willing to reply. She's reading to potentially reply with that person. Me, on the other hand, I'm combing through my inbox, and I was just kind of like, ignore, delete. What's this? Okay, ignore. And me as a researcher, I'm looking for the phishing emails. And so I'm like, oh, that's a good one. Let me store that one away. But at the same point, I'm reading it very laissez-faire. I'm reading it just very casually without the intention to reply to anybody. I'm not looking to reply to the messages that I get unless it's my work inbox. My work inbox, I see a name, I click it, I read through it, and if I need to reply, I'll reply. Not every message needs a reply, which is a different interaction than what I do in person. If you're going to ask me something, if you're going to talk to me, I'm definitely going to reply to you and have a conversation with you. But in the inbox, sometimes some emails are just more informative than, hey, I need a response back from this. As you're reading a message, it starts with the name. And so as you read that name, your amygdala, your limbic system, your hypothalamus all kicks in. And you begin to feel something based on your emotional state. So if I see my best friend's name, or if I see my mom's name, I'm gonna begin to feel love. And so that's just how I interact with those people. I begin to feel love, and that may affect my emotional state. So after the name, if I'm in the mindset I check the email header to see if it's a fish or not, or I read the title. I read the title, the subject line of the email, and based on that subject line, I'm gonna move to something else. So I may see my mom's name, and I may feel love, and then whatever that subject line is, that's going to put me in that emotional state before I start deductively reading that message. And if I read that message, there's a few clues that would set me off. If the spelling is just absolutely atrocious, that's going to raise that red flag for me. Like, hey, my mom spells very, very well. However, if I begin to read that message and I see like links, I see attachments or something along the lines of that may raise some red flags. But if the message reads well, and it reads in her tone, they kind of, hopefully it's my mom, because they got me, because it's very difficult. I would dare to say it's very callous and very cold to say that you're going to read a name of a loved one, someone that you hold in the middle of your heart with all your emotions, and feel nothing. It's not how we are built biologically. You're going to feel something. It's either going to be joy, it's going to be anxious, it's going to be happiness, it might be sadness. But you're going to feel something, and you're going to have to deductively reason your way through that. You're going to have to try to pull yourself out of that to deductively reason your way through that. Same things happen with companies. If it's companies you do business with, you see the name of the organization, and you may feel something. It won't be as deep as it would be a person that you love, but you may feel something. It may be a good business deal going on. It may be a bad business deal going on. It may be a merger or some type of acquisition that's going on. So you're going to feel something. Then you're going to start to deductively reason your way through that. You still have to pull yourself through that and make sure you're getting all the information that you need to make the right decision. Or respond back to see, hey, I did not get enough information. Can you give me more information so I can make a better decision? Cyber psychology is a blend of cybersecurity or the internet, or this digital platform, however we choose to address it, neuroscience and psychology. It's the interaction between human and computer, or human and technology. And if that human and technology interaction there, all of that is blending together for cyber psychology. Is how are you interacting with technology? How are you interacting with your computer, with your smartphone, with your tablet? And what are the differences there? Because there's some key differences to get us out of the mindset of stupid user. It is not stupid user. Through my research, through my studies, even if you have cybersecurity professionals, we click at just a higher rate as everybody else. There's really no differences. Because there are differences within how we interact with technology versus face-to-face. All that boiled down, put together constitutes what cyber psychology is. The majority of cyber crimes occur within email. 95 to 97% of malware is sent through email, sent through your inbox, because the attackers are attempting to attack people before they attack technology. They're not attacking your firewall, your IDS system, your IPS system. They're not attacking those high-level technologies. They're choosing to attack you because you are the ones that may typically make the mistakes. Humans are our greatest strength, but sometimes they could be our weakest links as well. In a way, for us to be plugged in 24/7, it does impact how we develop, kind of with an asterisk, because we're constantly evolving, we're constantly moving and growing and trying to figure out how we're going to interact with this technology. However, just to put this into context, this is something that we weren't really prepared for, building a platform this large, this connected. This is something that we weren't really prepared for as humans. To think it doesn't matter if you're a creationist or if you're an evolutionist or somewhere in between, the iPhone or the Android phone in your pocket, we did not prepare for that. That was not really part of the evolutionary plan. And so we're learning on how we are going to interact with all of this technology. We're learning how we're going to interact with one another with technology. And I feel we're doing very well in some cases, but we have a lot of development in a lot of other cases because we cannot fathom that the computer was meant to design to hold the weight of your heart or to hold the weight of your emotion. That was not really in the plan. Nevertheless, a lot of people are falling in love online. They meet their significant others online. And I want to pose the notion to everyone out there that if you can fall in love behind a computer screen, you can literally do anything. Our inbox is a mix between Call of Duty, Whack-A-Mole, and probably NBA 2K. It's probably like a mix between all these games because Whack-A-Mole being that, hey, there's all this digital noise out there and there might just be a plain, flat out, obvious phishing email. And so you just go ahead and smack that one out the way. You delete that one. I'd say it's a mix between Call of Duty because it's cyber warfare is real. Not to be completely scary and over the top at it, but cyber warfare is real. Just to think of last year in 2020, we seen hospitals get hit with ransomware mid-pandemic. it's absolutely mind-blowing to me that hackers, there are no ethical barriers there. So it is 100% cyber warfare as well. But I'm also a sports fan, so it's a mix between NBA 2K, because there's a lot of good connections going on. Sometimes you toss something up, they're gonna catch it in the air, slam dunk that. It's a mix between like your favorite sport, your favorite war game, and whack-a-mole. It's like a blend between all three of those, and it is a mess out there. Just try to imagine those games mixed together. It is an absolute mess out there. The best thing a person can do, honestly, is understand themselves. And that might sound very cliche, but the better you understand yourself, the better you can interact with technology, and the better you can interact with someone else with technology. If you don't understand yourself, it's very easy to fall victim or create some facade of something that you are not and sound very ingenuine, or to sound fake and blend in with this digital noise and all this digital pollution going on. It's very easy to blend in with that. But to stand out is honestly being yourself. Try to find ways to convey yourself and convey your emotions online, whether it be video, whether it be emojis, whether it be just in your tone of speech, or in the way that you communicate with loved ones, or the way you communicate with people that you're trying to create a connection with. If it's a sale, people want to hear you. People don't want to hear machines. People don't want to hear bots. People want to hear you. They would want to hear from John Doe. They want to hear from Jane Doe. They would want to hear from Erik Huffman. They don't want to hear from the machine. And so as I'm interacting with technology, I'm doing the best I can to convey myself in a way that stands out, because I'm me. I'd stand out in a room full of thousands of people because we're all genuine. We all are unique. And you just don't want to become someone else. It's very easy to become someone else. It's very easy to sound very bot-like in a room full of people, in a room full of bots. You want to raise your hand up and say, hey, I'm a person and I'm honestly trying to connect with you because I care. Not simply just because, hey, I just want to make a sale. Well, I have some technology, or I have a solution that may benefit you and may benefit your organization, and I care enough to reach out to you and tell you about it. People can tell. Some people can tell, not everyone can. Some people can tell just based off of that, what we call the gut feeling. Is actually that limbic part of your brain. I'm speaking to you a little bit, but that gut feeling that, hey, this sounds very bot-like, or this doesn't seem very official. People are beginning to develop that. Just like we're learning to interact with technology, we're learning to be better users of technology, be better citizens of the internet. We're all learning that. And based on that, some people are really developing a keen sense that, hey, this email seems very fishy, or this email seems very bot-like, or it seems very ingenuine, which makes people immediately think that someone sold my data and someone's blasting this email out to me and thousands of other people. And once that happens, it's like, well, you don't really care enough about me to send me a message. You sent this email, the very same email, to thousands of other people. Why would I reply to you when you didn't really even send it to me? You didn't even know you sent it to me. People are beginning to develop the sense of that just based off of how some email reads. I've even got a message that said, hey, first name, and it bracket first name. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Immediately that's going to send out a red flag. After that, I'm not even reading the rest of the message, to be honest. I'm just like, all right, well, there's just more bots or more sales that are just sent to thousands of other people, not anything really intended specifically for me. I just hit a particular demographic or a job title that they liked, and now they want to talk to me because of the job title, not because of any other reason. Yeah, I think people continue to send these canned messages out because it's a numbers game. You can reach out to 100,000 people and maybe get 10, 20, 30, even 100 to reply and try to go from there. However, the other thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that are not going to reply to you, you may have not burnt that bridge, but you have some repairing to do, because the last message you sent was not really from you. It was from a canned message. So how am I going to trust this one? And so it does work because it reaches some people, and some people may reply to that. That you may have something to sell that a company desperately needs. And so they're going to see that, they're going to read that, and they're going to try. They may just respond anyway, even from an ingenuine email. However, majority of people, they're probably not going to respond to it. But it still works, just like the canned phishing emails that are sent out there that go to thousands of people from the good old Nigerian prince out there. The reason why those are still sent out there, people still reply. However, just like a good sales pitch, phishing is nothing but malicious marketing. A targeted phishing attack is more prone to work as well. There are a lot of trends that are going out there to combat digital noise and combat digital pollution. Is that spam filters are great, and they're getting a little bit better. So if you don't think you're experiencing a lot of digital pollution, just click on the spam, your spam folder, and just start looking through. There is an absolute ton of digital noise and digital pollution that's out there that's not quite getting to us, because spam filters are getting a little bit better. They're getting a lot more efficient after that. But also, there's so much going on that people are choosing to ignore to combat that, to combat some digital pollution. Just, hey, let's ignore it. Let's just ignore it, and it won't go away. But hey, if we stop replying, maybe people will start doing something different about their approach. But the biggest things are spam filters. There's some technology out there as well. There's some technology solutions that companies are deploying out there to try to help with even malicious attacks, to look at how people speak, to look at where the email's coming from, to see, does this even need to come through? Because for years we've attempted to patch human deficiencies with technology, and we're continuing to do that. But also we need to empower people and put them in a position to succeed, to interact with this, even though there's still some noise out there. 10 years from now is going to look, obviously it's going to look very different. There's going to be a lot of AI, I feel. It's going to be out there because a lot of organizations feels like, hey, we got to start automating a lot of processes. Your email, your inbox is probably still going to be flooded as organizations begin to grow, and the amount of data out there that's being sold is continuing to grow. And so there's going to be some digital noise out there, a significant amount of digital noise out there. However, the one thing that stays the same, which caused the reasoning for all my research, is that people, we will still be here. We will still be interacting with that technology. We're still going to try to find a way to reason through that technology. However, that technology is going to look different. It's going to be a lot more automated. It's going to be a lot more behavioral based. It's going to be, hey, we're going to block this behavior because John Doe or Jane Doe typically doesn't log into her work email or his work email at 3 o'clock in the morning. Something about this is malicious. Your technology is going to be behavioral based, and it's going to look to block attacks based on anomalies, based on how you typically do not act, how you typically do not interact with technology. And it's going to base the behavior and the decision making based off of that. That is going to be the future of technology, and the future in your inbox might come from some of that behavioral base as well, that the CEO typically doesn't send emails with emojis in them. And this email has an emoji, so we're going to block this to help us in this digital platform and the cyber warfare side of things. I hope it's not as bad as it can get. I really hope it's not as bad as it can get, because there's attacks on critical infrastructure. There's attacks on banks. There's attacks on hospitals. There's attacks on technology that people genuinely need to survive. I hope that doesn't continue on that trajectory, or it could get very dark on that side. Yeah, I do what I do because I'm passionate about people, and I'm very passionate about helping us as digital citizens, as citizens of the internet, being worldwide, helping us understand ourselves, understand what's different between us and interacting face-to-face and us interacting with technology. And it fascinates me every time when I understand, or I'm trying to understand the context behind the numbers, because the numbers and the data are significant and they weigh heavily, but the context behind those numbers is where the heart is, and it's where we need to learn to interact with one another, and it's where the passion is, and it's exactly where we need to be. And what's the differences there? Why is this person clicking? Why is this person responding to these emails and these other people are not? To get out of the mindset of stupid user, to get out of the mindset that I don't know technology, so of course I was going to get phished. To get out of the mindset that it's not if, but when we get hacked. Because people, we are in control. Like, we are the difference between data breach and not data breach. And it doesn't matter about job title. It's the interaction with the technology. We are 100% in control of our destiny, and being a small part of a very complex problem and of a very complex solution that we're developing, I absolutely love it. I 100% love it. I love talking to people. I love understanding their stories. I love understanding where they came from and their emotional state of that they stayed in when they chose to click or when they did not click. It's absolutely something I love. It's what I want to give to the world. As a BombBomb employee, but coming from a non-BombBomb place, from my heart, not just with BombBomb, but with video email, period. I feel BombBomb is in a position which it's not utilizing right now, just being honest, to really sell itself, to really show itself as a more secure way to send messages. Because the most significant statistic BombBomb has is that every video sent from BombBomb was received by that person, and it was actually sent from the person that sent it. Because you can see me. And because when you see me, that biological barriers that existed, those are actually raised again. Like, hey, I can see Erik Huffman. And because I see Erik Huffman, I know Erik Huffman. And so I'm creating that connection with that person. That face-to-face interaction that we have personally when we're in the same room with each other, the best we can do right now is through a video camera. In that video camera, it empowers people in a way that we are typically used to communicating. We're not really used to the typing messages, so we're trying to compensate for the lack of emotion of text with emojis and with memes and with GIFs and all that stuff. We're trying to compensate for the deficiencies in the technology emotionally based on that. However, with BombBomb, utilizing video email, it brings that closer. It brings people a little bit closer. And from a security standpoint, man, it's beautiful because I can see you and I can hear you and I can hear your vocal cadence and I can understand it. I understand that some people may think that, well, there's deep fakes out there, but the AI of deep fakes is so deep, it takes the level of sophistication for the attacker and it raises it significantly. Like, not only do you just need someone that can write proficient English and to copy and paste someone's signature block, well, you need someone that understands video to conduct a deep fake, and none of us, there's very few people on the planet that's popular enough with enough vocal data out there to deep fake that. So if I had something Very important. If I had something very near and dear to me and I wanted to make sure that it was understood in the right context, and I wanted to make sure that the people that were receiving it knew that it actually came from me, a video is an amazing way to do that. It is an absolute amazing way to do that. If the platform behind on the back end is absolutely secure, this is the best way to send information that in a more secure form, because everything else can be faked. Your email address could be spoofed. Your IP address could be spoofed. Your domain could be spoofed. What can't be spoofed is you. And to understand the context, if you know me, you can see I speak a lot with my hands. My vocal cadence is a little different. If you think Dr. Huffman, you may think that I'm some older guy that wears jackets with the elbow pads on them and things like that, but I'm not that person. And because I'm not that person, when you see a video from me, it should be easy, if you know me, to know that it's fake. And you can go for days about the things you can do. You can come up with secure phrases to say, when the cow jumps over the moon, my stomach aches. You can't deep fake that with the technology we have right now. Phrases like that, you can't deep fake that right now. So I feel not just BombBomb, but a video email. When I joined BombBomb, a video email, what hit my heart was like, dude, this is a solid way to bring people closer together. Yes. To have sales. Yes, sure. But the most important part of it to me is that it authenticates the person. And when it authenticates the person, I don't care if it's a sell or not. If it's something that's near and dear to you, and you want to make sure that it's sent from you, show yourself. But also, there's barriers out there as well. If you lack self-confidence, I understand it may be very hard to get in front of a camera. If you're in a person in a certain demographic and you don't want to show yourself, I wholeheartedly understand that. But I understand that if you want to authenticate that to the person that's sent to the other end, if they know who you are, not about a sale that you're sending videos to people that don't even know who you are. If they know who you are, they're gonna authenticate you. They're gonna know that, hey, that is my son, that is my husband, that is my wife, that is my friend who's communicating directly to me, and they actually need help. They may actually need to meet at the bank, and they may actually need the Amazon gift card. They may actually need that. And so they can authenticate themselves with a video. I think is an absolute brilliant solution to a problem that we're all facing. We're designed for that communication face-to-face. We're designed to be able to see one another. We're designed to be able to interact with one another, to touch one another, to shake hands, bump fists, hit elbows, whatever you choose to do. That's what we're designed for. We're designed to see one another and understand who that person is, and to develop a context of how that person interacts and how that person is emotionally and things like that. But we're also, we're trying to suffice from a digital platform. So the things that we're doing now, joining an organization during the pandemic, there's a few people that I've met, and I smile when I think about it, because I'm like, man, you're taller than I thought you were. Or, man, you're different than I thought you were. Because in a Zoom box or on a video box, we're creating characters in our heads still. To put this in perspective, have you ever read a book and then seen the movie and you're like, I hate this. That is not how that person looks. That's not how that person talks. That's not how that person interacts with that, because you came up with those characters in your head. We all do that. Even in a Zoom or a digital meeting platform, we're all doing that. We're all creating characters in our head, not out of harsh judgment or things like that. It's just something that we've all adapted to, something that we all do, because it's the same but different. Like, are you seeing someone? Yes. But are you really knowing that person? Are you really understanding that person? Or are you just meeting that person? And so what we're designed for is that face-to-face interaction, that sitting side by side with each other, that getting to know one another and meeting each other and understanding that, hey, this is who this person is because I met this person. I sat next to this person. We've all seen movies with some of our favorite actors and actresses on the planet, but wouldn't you prefer to sit next to them? I think we would all say yes, because that's what we're designed for. That's how we were built. I now have 31,931 unread messages. I'm not going to read all of them. Not even going to read all of them. I have about 31,920 emails I need to delete. Like, that's pretty much what that's saying. If my mom sends me a text or an email, I better respond because that took a long time to write. You know, for her to text, oh my gosh, you know, that means a lot. That means a lot.